All right. Miles, it's 11:45 and I haven't even asked a polling question yet. Let's give Josh a break and ask our audience, how would you describe your adoption or lack thereof of AI ML to inform process development? Choose all that apply. We haven't even thought about it. We're thinking about it. We're challenged by a lack of data. We're having process data aggregation challenges. That's my typo, by the way. That should say process data aggregation challenges. We're building data repositories, but haven't applied AI ML to it. We've integrated data and we're building models. We're piloting AI ML. We have AI ML applications up and running or other. Take a minute and make your selection there. And in just another minute, Josh and I will reflect perhaps on the way that the audience responds. But Josh, I wanted to get back to your experience in ADCs and antibodies before you jumped into the gene therapy realm. What do you, maybe a little bit of comparison and contrasting around challenges the ATMP space has to overcome to catch up to some more established biologics in terms of, I mean, PD in general, but like monitoring in line, for instance?
Yeah, I guess some of the challenges, relate to just the complexity of the process or the complexity of the product. And so there, it's a little more challenging because maybe the analytical tools aren't available to do kind of inline or at-line monitoring, and you need to still rely on offline analyses. Other aspects depend on the type of product you're working on within the ATMP space. So if you're working, in rare disease, you may have a very limited number of batches. And so you don't have necessarily, the N number from the manufacturing side that you might on an antibody or an ADC where you had more batches. So that, can be pretty challenging because then it's very expensive to manufacture large scale production, and you end up with a limited N number. And so then that pushes, potentially more reliance on your small scale data than being able to leverage, a large history of at scale manufacturing data.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at how our audience responded to our polling question. Haven't even thought about it, 30%. Thinking about it, 20%. Challenged by a lack of data, 15%. Having process data aggregation challenges, 10%. Building data repositories that haven't applied AI ML to it. What do you think of that, Josh? Any surprises there?
No, I'd say it is probably about what I'd expect, because I think it is still fairly early. So my guess is, you probably were starting to see people get some excitement or interest in it. But yeah, people may be limited by the data sets, right? Because, you really do need large amounts of data and to leverage these tools.
Yeah.
So yeah, not super surprised, but I think it's a really exciting space and something that people should monitor.
What do you, if you're challenged by a lack of data, you're one of that 15%, or we're having process data aggregation challenges. What does someone who's working in the space right now do, like in the interim, let's say, to change that paradigm, right?
Yeah, I think then, you're doing traditional development, which is really the workhorse for anything, right? I mean, a lot of this AI and machine learning, it's kind of the promise that's out there, but it hasn't, we haven't necessarily seen the fruits from it. So just, I think it's thinking about what data the teams are generating and how do you make sure that you're capturing it, that you're storing it somewhere, that you'll have it over time, so that if, maybe there is something 5 years from now, you have that data set that you've been compiling over the years. And that, that covers the developmental space as well as manufacturing. So I think for those that are working with CDMOs, thinking about how you make sure you're able to access important data from work that's taking place in contract locations as well.